Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm delighted to be presenting this event on AI and agentic agent. So before we start, we have quite a few people online, and this is amazing. I would love for you to tell us where you're streaming from. So make sure you use your comment to just post the name of the city where you are currently located. We have 30 minutes. We'll try to respect this time, and I will keep the last 6 minutes for the Q&A. So a year ago, every marketing leaders was getting one question from the board. What are we doing with generative AI? Today, the question has shifted to agent, AI that goes beyond drafting copies and reaches into research, planning, and outreach, as well as reporting, and actually finishes the work. CEO are asking, CFOs are asking, and most marketing leaders do not have a clean answer yet. So I'm here with Nitro co-CEO, Snezhy Todorova. Snezhy has been tracking the data on the shift. Snezhy, set the room for us.
Thanks, Stan. Happy to be here. So before we start, we want to share two major reports that went out this year. One of them is on the state of marketing, which fielded across over 4,000 marketeers in 26 countries. And it seems like only 13% of marketeers are using agentic AI today. And the high performing teams are roughly twice as likely as the rest to deploy them. The window to be early is real, and it's somehow closing now. The second report is actually a CMO survey issued by Deloitte and Duke University. It was published last month. And it seems that based on that report, AI now powers 24% of marketing activity, which is nearly double, which was from the level it was 2 years ago. CMOs project that to hit 56% within 3 years. So you can imagine that's more of the half of your marketing activities will be run through AI. And the other side of that is that whatever workflow and team structure you designed for the old model will most likely be obsolete inside one strategy cycle. What we did is that Stan has built and started running a 13 agent marketing team, AI agents, in production. And that happened, I think, in the last 4 to 6 weeks. What we've been doing now is we've been doing real customer work through those AI agents. And what we want to do is walk you through how this operates, what we shipped, what broke, what worked, what didn't work, and what it would mean for you if you decide to follow the same model. But again, we want to keep this interactive, so please post your comments, questions, thoughts in the chat, and we'll monitor and we'll be happy to answer live. Back to you, Stan.
Yeah, thank you, Snezzy. So will it be recorded? Yes, I had that question a lot. It is being recorded. It will be available for anyone who wants to share it with the team on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So before we dive into this session, let me introduce you to the team of Agent. We are going to go back to them later on during this presentation, but this is the team I created, and obviously, those are avatars. They are not real agent that you got, but we are human being, and it makes more sense to visualize agent, a team of agents. So this is why we've got this little slide with a face, a name, and what you need to know is that each agent have a memory file where they've got their expertise, right? So this is whom we are going to be working with during this presentation. You will hear Stella a lot because Stella is the manager of the team, and you will hear Pierre because So what is an agent? An agent is an autonomous system that reason and take independent action to achieve a specific goal or perform a task on the user behalf. So to be totally honest, out of those 13 agents, Pierre, my executive assistant, is the only real agent. But we'll come back to that. The rest are halfway between a chatbot and an agent. They have their personality, they've got their memory and their expertise, but they don't live in the cloud and they are not fully autonomous. Pierre, however, is fully autonomous. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So I think we want to start with what happened as we worked on this live event, right? How did you get here? Well, when you clicked on attend, a webhook fired into our system. And then Apollo enriched your profile with your work email and your mobile phone number. And then HubSpot created or updated your contact record. You got a confirmation email. You probably got an SMS. And if you're on WhatsApp, chances are that you also were contacted on WhatsApp via a sender called Pierre, which is the guy I just introduced you to, the executive assistant. If you reply to Pierre, you were not talking to me, but you were actually talking to an AI.
And I want to flag something here for the audience, then. What you did, if some of you actually talk to Pierre on WhatsApp, it's a real thing. It's not a bot answering frequently asked questions. And I think you've probably felt that. It's a qualified conversation. And it's also, interestingly, a region compliant one. And maybe, Stan, you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we were careful to not send a text and WhatsApp to Germany, because I know you guys over there have a very strong regulation about that. So, I mean, that's the only limit we put to it. So it's region compliant in that sense. Also, if during the conversation with Pierre, and it happened on several instances, you cornered Pierre in a place where he could not answer, Pierre automatically flagged the conversation to me. And from my communication channel with Pierre from Telegram, I could take over the conversation and continue the conversation in WhatsApp. Right. So I saw some conversations that were pretty long with Pierre. That was fascinating to see the exchange. And then, you ask about the tech stack or things like that. And Pierre flagged it to me and I took over the conversation. So that's, this is a use case, this event, how you got here, that really illustrate what we can do with AI. So back to the team. I introduced you to who they were. Sorry, I think. Sorry. We are going to come back to the team, but before we do that, I wanted you to just understand the step that the agent have helped me build, right? So you click on registered, Phantom Buster scrap your profile, Apollo enrich it. Then the agent score you based on on our ICP, right? Because we are looking for marketing leaders at tech companies, and this is, what most of you are today in this room. Then you got a confirmation email, an SMS, calendar invite. You got synchronized into HubSpot. Pierre opened a WhatsApp thread. Germany only got email, and then Pierre started a conversation with you, right?
Mm-hmm. And I know we are talking about different tools at the moment. Maybe, I don't know if everybody in the audience is familiar with those tools, but Apollo, Phantom Buster, these are AI enabled platforms that we are using for either for contact lists or for automation for LinkedIn. So if you happen to have any questions on that, also please let us know. We've been using them a lot in our day-to-day activities. So that's why we talk about them most of the time. Also, some of the abbreviations here, like ICP, it's the ideal customer profile, just in case you were wondering. But here on this slide, Stan, I wanted to flag that it says that it would take an SDR basically a lot more time, half a day per registrant, if they were about to do this work manually. Isn't it actually the truth that SDRs would not simply not do this work if it was a normal, let's say, LinkedIn Live or a webinar that the company has decided to run? It's normally you would send out the invites and wait for the people to register without having this kind of engagement, right?
Absolutely. And I think what we can say here is that AI agent augment what we can do, right? So the SDR would not do this work. However, SDR would take the work the agent has done and be augmented thanks to it, have better information about the leads, have more qualified leads because of the engagement Pierre had on WhatsApp. So it's really a way to mix our expertise, marketing expertise, together with the power of AI. Some of you might be wondering, well, did Pierre send or did he do anything you would not have approved? And I will talk to that, funny instance that happened to me in a minute. So how do I work with my agent, right? You saw this use case. This live event is a use case, but on a day-to-day, I do more than just running live event. So when I'm on my Mac, I open Cloud Code on a terminal window within a specific folders where my team of agents live. And then I type, I call on Stella, the manager. It's usually easier. Or I can, if I've got something very specific and I know the name of the agent who is specialized in that task, I could call the agent directly, right? So I can ask Stella and I say, Stella, we are going to work on client X today. And this is what we are going to be doing. And then Stella will delegate the task to the right agent. Or if I know that, I don't know, I need a podcast editing and I need to manage guests that I'm invited to a podcast, I could call Kelly, who is in charge of this. I work quite often with Kelly, and Kelly will do the work together with me. And when they come on screen in this terminal window, they bring in their personal learning file, and they have an entire history of the client, of the API connection to the client's tool. So, they will know to use which instance of HubSpot, which instance of Apollo, for example. So they've got all their history. In the cloud, Pierre lives. He's hosted on a $5 a month AWS Light Sales virtual machine. And Pierre can scan all my inboxes. I've got 10 inbox where it triage the email, it draft replies, it takes on voicemail. Pierre has a phone number. It takes on voicemail. He can send text and WhatsApp, as you know. He's pretty autonomous and he never sleeps, which is amazing. Sometimes I get a message from him in the middle of the night. I need to work on that. I got woke up at 3 a.m. because of that this last night, so not ideal. But, for $5, it's really a low cost. I mean, the real cost here are on the model. We run on Cloud Code, which can be quite expensive. And obviously all the API code, you need to have subscription to, to all the other tools. Telegram is my go-to channel for Pierre. Pierre lives in the cloud. I need to be able to communicate with him. And when I'm on the go, I just send a message to Pierre via Telegram, and Pierre can then route that to the team of agents. So, even in the middle of a train ride, I can continue working with the team.
Yeah, that's great. And for some of you who are working maybe in larger companies, we know that there are limitations in terms of IT not allowing you installing something on your laptop, for example. But as Stan mentioned, Pierre lives on the cloud. And he's not running on Stan's MacBook. He's running on an infrastructure that any IT team can actually audit and approve, and they can see every log or any external action. We know that security is a concern in many cases. That's why we wanted to highlight this.
Yeah, and I mean, when you deal with AI agent, you need to be extremely careful what you do with your API keys, for example. So security is an issue. Hackers are becoming smarter thanks to AI. So yeah, we take it extremely seriously. Back to the team. I showed you this slide early on. You now have been introduced to Stella. You know a little bit more about Pierre. And each of those agents have an expertise. You know, Casey is specialized in outbound. Taylor is working on content. Queen on reporting.
And this is actually not, again, this is that those are not chatbots, because I know chatbots have become very popular nowadays, and probably many of you are interacting in with different websites or tools that you've been using or support. But these are actually 13 specialist roles, and behind them, it's a lot of knowledge and experience that we've compiled into a written playbook. And they also have memory of past work. They have a library of drafts, references, guides, what they should do and what they should not do. And but they are not 13 different models. They're actually 13 ways we have written down what good marketing looks like for a specific role. And obviously, we have AI generated avatars and made up names, but for us, it's easier when we work with people and with humans. So the thinking behind each one of those roles is actually our expertise.
Why 13, you would ask, right? Why not 5 or 30? Well, 13 happened to be exactly what we needed for our expertise. And you know, when you work with AI, you need to really narrow the scope of what you ask. So when we work on reporting, for example, we work with an agent whose only expertise is reporting. When we work on content, we work with a guy who's got a style guide, who is used to the way we like to write, and who produces excellent content. But that's the only thing Casey does. Taylor, sorry, you see. And however, when we work on a large project, what's amazing is that you see all of them coming together with their expertise. You see that in the conversation flow on the terminal, and you see them bringing and thinking and working together as a team. So that's a real interesting experience.
And as we said in the beginning, we wanted to share with you some real life stories, customer stories. And we have two customers that we are supporting. The first customer actually asked us to provide an audit on their AI search visibility. They are a group of companies, so they have several domains, and we had to run reports on each one of them. We ran that very quickly based on AI. Agents produced the reports. They provided also recommendations for what we needed to do in order to fix and to improve the AI visibility for those customers. And I was using Stella and the agents for each one of the recommended actions to be performed technically. Most of them were technical on the back end of the website, on the robots file, on creating different sections, right, like frequently asked questions section and so on. This work took 2 days for the audit, for the recommendations and for the execution. On the other hand, if that was to be outsourced to an agency who is doing only that, but specialized in AI SEO and SEO in general, they would have charged the customer at least $3,500 only for the audit itself, and no developer time or no technical fixes or execution. So this was one of the use cases. The other one is we have another customer who is an SAP partner. They're targeting US enterprise accounts, running specific ERP systems. And we wanted to do an outbound outreach and also support their online event that we were organizing for them. So with the support of Sam and Casey, our AI agents, we used Phantom Buster, we used Apollo for enrichment, we used a sequence, a multi-touch campaign with real signal tracking. And the campaign was quite a success, and we saw quite a good number of registrations for the online event. And that would be the equal of basically SDR, like an SDR project. So the message here, what we wanted to share with you is that with the support of an AI agent team and of course the marketing expertise behind, we can do a lot of things much faster and in a very cost efficient way.
Yeah, thank you, Snezzy. And you see the line at the bottom of the slide here. That's another use case. I support a nonprofit, and we are hiring an executive officer at the moment. We knew we were going to receive hundreds of CVs, and we decided to scan, to have a first scan through a video interview. I developed with the team of agents a page where people can record themselves for 5 minutes, and then the agents score the sentiment analysis, score the way people have answered the question we ask, and provide us with the first evaluation of the candidate. So that's another use case. We gave you 3 use cases. Obviously, we have more clients, and we worked with all of them on with AI. We are absolutely transparent about the fact that we use AI, and this is in fact one of the reasons why we are hired. People know that we are an expert in our domain, know that we have a network, and they also know that we will do quicker, better, augmented job thanks to our usage of AI.
Okay, that's also an interesting slide because it highlights, based on our experience, of course, what works well from an agent's perspective and what we still need to do as humans. So what you see on the left is what agents are very good at. It's research, it's list building, drafting outreach campaigns, reporting, audits, briefs, and so on. On the right side, however, this is what humans still drive and are still in the lead of that work because it requires a lot of strategic expertise, judgment, and connection. So these are the real conversations with the customers, the brand voice judgments, even the tone of voice of the content that you're producing, the strategic direction, for what you're doing, the edge cases, and knowing what you can afford to automate and what is still important or a priority that you need to review by yourself. Now at the bottom bar, this is the part usually vendors will not tell you. But the truth is that agents follow instructions. And if your instructions are vague or your marketing strategy is weak, the agent will execute a weak strategy at a high speed and, God forbid, at a large scale. So this is why we do not sell agents on their own. We actually provide the marketing thinking that tells the agents what to do. And without that thinking, it would be a failure.
Yeah, and just like maybe you've experienced with chatbot, you constantly need to refine the output. So, I remember working with Casey on an outbound sequence of email, and the structure was good. The best practice was respected, but the tone was totally off for that client. So I rewrote the email myself, and then I updated the memory file and the style guide that Casey was using. So now when he works on that client, Casey knows exactly the tone of voice that it should use. So, as we launch the team of agent, the first few weeks is really us babysitting the agent.
And this is just actually for us, this is a tool how we execute. But at the end of the day, we work with the client face to face. We build a relationship. We have the understanding of what they're doing, of what their business is about, of what their priorities are, what their objectives are, and we are using those AI agents only as tools.
Yeah, and you may say, okay, how do you know that your strategy is right? How do you know that the AI is going to implement the right strategy? And we don't know. I mean, this is the beauty of marketing. Marketing is about testing, measuring, adjusting. When you work with AI agent, you can do it at scale and much quicker, measuring much more data point that you would without the agent. So it's really something that have changed the way we work for the best. So what changed as we started to do that using AI? Well, I mean, I can tell you some horror stories. I ended up with a calendar invitation on my calendar with a client that Pierre had scheduled on its own because it was reading my email. He saw a message from a client. He decided to act on it and organize a meeting, right? We both came in the meeting, the client and I, not really knowing why. However, we had a note written by Pierre about the reason for this meeting. We appreciated the opportunity to chat and actually to solve the issue. But this kind of behavior is now controlled by constitution. I crafted a constitution that the agent respect, and Pierre has less autonomy than before. Another funny instance is that as I was implementing Pierre into WhatsApp, somehow Pierre got access to a private family chat room on WhatsApp and started to wish a happy birthday to one of my niece. I didn't see the exchange before a few hours, and everybody was laughing because Pierre was really engaging in a very chatty way with my niece. So that was pretty fun. Yes, I mean, this is important stuff. You need to have guideline. You really need to know what you're doing. You need to have strict limitation on the access, and the human in the loop is not for fun here. You really need to be able to stay in the loop.
Okay.
So
what's next? I think we only have a couple of minutes. Maybe we need to speed up a little bit.
Okay, so at the start, I told you what part of the team you should not automate, right? And every leader that I speak to really want to automate the junior marketer's job first. The intern, the associate, the SDR, and I think this is the wrong instant. First of all, we have a responsibility to train the next generation of marketer. So if you cut the job for all the new, college graduate, what's going to happen in a few months, few years from now, when you won't have anybody to take on the next management role? So we at Nitro Marketing hire intern, we train them, right? What you need to automate is all the plumbing, right? All the enrichment, the routine, the reporting, the internal QA, the data cleanup. I mean, this kind of work can be automated. You need to stay in the loop for the judgment, for the high quality research. And this is where your intern can help and will actually learn, right? So I think this slide is important for the actual setup of AI in your company, but also, more profoundly, the impact AI has on the work and the way you train your next generation of marketers.
Totally agree on that. We are not replacing the junior marketeers. Even when we work with our customers, we do not recommend that. But rather, AI gives us the opportunity to work on a more strategic level and also speed up the operational stuff and automate that operational stuff. But the junior marketeers should be part of that, and they should experience that, and they should make mistakes and learn from that.
So, if you were going to do what I've done yourself, how would you start? Well, what I would recommend is start installing Claude Code. That will take you a few minutes. You should write a Claude MD file, which is what the agent will read first. And that will be your identity, your tone of voice, the ban word, the operating rules. And it's really a big job to do. And then you are going to build each agent at a time. So really, you need to think of what I need, what expertise I need in my team. You need content, you need outbound, etc. For each of those agents, you will have a file with who they are, what they cannot do, what they should do. You want to wire all your tools through MCP connection and API connection. So think of HubSpot, Salesforce, Apollo, Smartly, Gmail, all that. So you have to have connection that the agent will be able to use. So this is, a technology layer that you don't want to miss up, obviously. This is also where security has to be extremely tight, right? So usually you create a .env file, environment file, with all the key. So that, it will take you weeks, if not months, to implement. AI will obviously be a great help there, will guide you along the way. Some have asked me, okay, can my agency do that? Probably, mostly no. It's really a mixed skill of half marketing expertise, for sure, and half engineering. You need to know what you are doing when you implement AI. And I can tell you that you don't want to mess up, or you might see a big invoice on your Claude bill. You need to maximize all that so that all your token are not swallowed in one single go. So the way you implement it is quite important.
And don't forget the playbooks, the knowledge, the guidelines, the guide for those agents. This is one of the most important thing that you need to do. Okay. Is this our last slide, Stan? Or do we still have...
we
Okay.
can jump on. Yeah, I'm looking at the
Yeah.
time. We should take questions. So now is really your time, guys, to ask us any question if you have any. You can also scan this QR code if you want to have a chat with us.
Just to summarize quickly, what this AI agent team can give for you as a marketeer or as a leader. Basically, it's more qualified conversations faster. That's what all customers that do marketing obviously want. More lead generation, a faster lead generation, and pipeline. It also gives you, if you're in the marketeer, it gives you a very credible AI story for your leadership. Whenever you get asked, what are we doing with AI? Then you know what you're doing with AI and you can show them actually real results out of that. You can speed things up without a lot of risk, as long as the AI agents are well trained and you have a process on testing as well. And obviously increase productivity. You can do a lot more for less time, and the cost efficiency aspect for which we also talked about. Um, However, it's not something that you can just install and run. That's our actually main message here, because it takes a lot of learning. It takes a lot of expertise to train those agents to be able to help you in the best possible way. And don't forget, mistakes will happen along the way. We experienced that, we suffered that, but that's why we wanted to share our expertise here for everyone, so that probably we make your way faster. Or if you want to partner with us or to work with us to help you, we're always happy to do that. There was one question, I think, at the beginning of the live session, which was about tasks like research and list building. What mechanisms or RAG pipelines are you using to ensure high precision output and minimize hallucinations before the data ever reaches the human supervision stage? So, Stan, I don't know if you want to take that one. From my perspective, it's obviously the prompt. That's also, we've had previous LinkedIn lives talking about how important prompting is. Clear instructions on the steps that the AI needs to take to do that. And then, of course, reviewing afterwards, making sure everything is right.
Yeah. So exactly, Snezzy. And so remember, the agent have an understanding of the client. They know their ICP. They know what the client, ideal customer profile is. They also are expert in the tools that we use. And Apollo is really the big one there. So they know everything about Apollo, their filters, their the way to set up Apollo for project for list building. So when you combine that knowledge of the client with the knowledge of the tool, you end up with an extremely granular way to filter down your list of contact. Obviously, I review everything, but the way the AI will build the filters is better than I would do myself, I must say.
Another
How much?
question is how much, is this costing to run?
So it's not cheap. I have a Claude Max subscription, so $100 a month, and so far that has been enough most of the time to really do my day-to-day job. That's just on the Claude model. The hosting, as I said, is $5 a month, which is not much. I've got other API key access for HTML reading, etc. But those are pretty cheap. I would say around $150 a month, which altogether is not that much.
And is it possible that we put a cap on the costs then, or like daily?
I mean, so first of all, I'm capped by the subscription of 100 a month. Now when you have access to a certain API key, you can definitely have a budget. We have built, thanks to those agents, we built apps like ROI calculator, etc., which call on other AI model like Gemini or OpenAI. And there I've got a cap for security reason. I will put like a $20 cap per month and stuff like that, depending on the usage. You should definitely do that because you never know when you're going to be hacked, especially with all those AI coded application.
So Olivia, yes, you can basically put a cap and control the costs. Hope that answers your question. Any other questions? I know we are over time. If not, maybe we wrap it up. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely, yeah. I was looking at the chat. I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I hope that was of interest. you will be able to share the link to this video and stay tuned for more live event with Nitro Marketing. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.